Welcome to Perfect Closets Module 1 training. My name is Sherwin Keeley, and I'm the North American Sales Manager, as well as one of the 2020 trainers for our catalog. Today is our Module 1 basic training, using the 2020 Designs platform and using our Perfect Fit Canada Closet add-on catalog. We have two catalogs, one a United States catalog with US pricing, and we have another one here as Perfect Fit Canada Canadian pricing. Please pick your appropriate local browser catalog. I'll choose the Perfect Fit Canada USA catalog for this session. Before I do any session, I always want to create my walls. I'm going to click on my continuous wall, and I'm going to make a basic reach-in closet. Majority of reach-in closets are 24 inches deep, so that's what I'm going to do for this particular closet. I'll click on 24 inches deep for my first wall. I'll make this one 80 inches wide for my wall 2, and I'll make 24 inches wide for wall number 3. I'll click on escape, and now I have my walls all set up. You can see from this walls, I have 3 different placement views for all 3 walls. I would like to first edit the walls to the appropriate height and subtract any placement views that I don't need. I'm going to right click on any of the wall areas on the gray area and click on properties. The first instance I have green highlighted is wall number 1, which is 24 inches deep. I'm going to click on the type tab and unclick the placement zone for this wall because I'm not going to be placing anything on this wall. You can see the placement view has disappeared. I'll do the same thing on wall number 3. Click on the type tab and unclick the placement zone on the inside wall. So now I only have a placement view for the wall number 2, my apologies. Click on apply, click on OK. With closets, we primarily work on the elevation view majority of the time. So I'm going to click on this placement area and create my elevation view. I'll double click this area. Now I have my elevation view. There is a second way to actually create your elevation view as well. The second way to create your elevation view is I'm going to select my placement view, and instead of double clicking this area, I'm going to click on Add Elevation underneath the Room Layout tab. I'm going to minimize my top view as that is not needed at this time. Currently, the default height for our 2020 is 96 inches tall, and I'm going to keep it like that for the meantime. You can always edit this in the future. Now, as a designer, I have 3 different ways to create this module system. If I click on my categories tab, I'll click on my modules. Underneath my modules, we'll be talking today about our wall module and our tall module. As a designer, I have 3 different ways to create this module system. I can make everything as a tall module as option 1. I can make everything as a wall module, and that'll be option number 2. Or I can mix and match between tall modules and wall modules, and I can make a mixture. For this purpose, I will make everything as a tall module for this instance. I'm going to make a open shelving bank in the middle, a double hanging system on the left, and a single hanging system on the right. Because I have an odd number of modules, I'm going to work in the middle and work my way outwards. If I had a larger space, I would work from left to right. I have 2 different types of tall modules. I have a tall module single and a regular tall module. First, I'm going to grab a tall module. I'm going to drag it into the elevation view. I see my magnet. As soon as I see my magnet, I'm going to go to my farthest left and unclick my mouse. Another window appears. I'm going to right click on this illustration just so that I can see it a little bit better. For my heights, the default height is 83 15/16. If I click on the down button, the next increment is 82 11/16. I do that again, it's 81 7/16. We use the 32 millimeter European line boring system. What that means is the center of every line boring hole is 32 millimeters, and that is our incremental height differences. We have converted that from metric to imperial here. You can see the next increment going up and so forth. We can go to a maximum of 107 7/8. And we can go to a minimum of I'll keep going down. And we have a minimum of 5 13/16. For this purpose here, I'm going to make this at our default height. Majority of our closet systems will be at our default 83 15/16 height. Next that I'd like to talk about is our opening depth. I have predetermined depths. Default is at 14 inches, and that's where majority of our closets are going to be. We have presets of 12, 14, 16, 19, 24, and custom. We can go to a maximum of 30 inches deep to a maximum of 8 inches deep. Again, we can customize this by the inch or to half an inch. I'll make this one our default at 14 inches deep. Next is our opening one width. Default's at 12, then I have presets of 15, 18, 24, 30, and 36, or I can go to custom. For widths, you can make it to a 1/16 of an inch, and it is very, very accurate. So once again, we have presets or go to custom to a max or an incremental distance of 1/16 of an inch. The maximum width I advise is 36 inches wide. I'll make this one 24 inches wide for the meantime. Next line, I have panel left, and it says fully drilled. What that means is I have now line boring holes on the inside, but as well as the outside. If I click on the drop-down button, I also have half drilled. Now I have line boring holes on the inside, but I have a clean face on the outside. This is great for end panels. I'll keep this one fully drilled because this is a reach-in closet. And the same thing on the panel on the right, fully drilled. Shelf bottom. I do want a bottom shelf. I do want a top shelf. I do want a toe kick, and I do want this specific toe kick height as our default 3 3/4. I do have options for all of these to either remove the panel, I can remove the bottom shelf, I can remove the top shelf, and the same thing with their toe kicks, or adjust the toe kick height. Some people do want a higher toe kick height, and maybe they want to use a ladder box or even some legs underneath. I'll click on OK and drop it in. I'll drop it anywhere as I'd like. I'd like to center this. The easiest way to center your module is to right-click on the item. I see that I have my tall module, and I'll click on center. Left-click once, and my cursor now becomes a plus. I'm going to go to my top view, and I see my elevation view and my top view here in the bottom. This is my placement view, placement area. I'm going to double-click anywhere in this placement zone, and it centers it for me. Next, I'm going to make a tall module on the left-hand side here. I'd like to fill in this gap. The best module to use to fill in gaps is any module that says single. I only use wall module singles, tall module singles, or anything that says singles when I want to only fill in a gap and I don't want to do any math. I'm going to left-click tall module single, and I want to fill in this gap. I'll left-click, drag it in. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, and let go of my mouse. Again, I'm going to right-click on the illustration. I'm going to keep the height at 83 15/16. Next is clearance on the left, clearance on the right. So what does that mean? I know as an installer, walls are never truly straight or perfect. They're never plumb. There could be some bowing on the drywall. So therefore, as a designer, I have to take that in consideration whenever I'm making a module connecting to an adjacent wall. I have 3 different options. 1, I can make 0 clearance on the left and right wall. And therefore, if the modules are too tight for the space provided, the installer will have to cut any horizontal shelves on one module to make sure that they have a perfect fit. Option number 2 I can make this a 1/4 inch off the wall or even an 1/8 inch off the wall to give my installer a little bit of variance to accommodate bowing of the drywall. And my last option is I can make this 1 inch or greater and then add a filler. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do this a 1/4 inch off the wall and give my installer a little bit of variance. So clearance on the left, I'm going to subtract that and type in 1/4 to have a 1/4 inch clearance on the left. Clearance on the right is 0 because I'm going to be connecting it to this current module here. Opening depth is 14 inches. Panel left is fully drilled. That's what I would like. Panel on the right. I'm going to subtract this panel. Panel removed. You can see it from my illustration. The right panel has been removed. Shelf bottom. I do want a bottom shelf. I do want a top shelf. I do want a toe kick. I'll click on OK. Now, I can move this wherever I'd like. I'm going to go to my farthest left because that's where I'd like it to be. I'll go to my farthest left, left click once, and then go to my farthest right. So you can see that on my mouse that I keep going to the right. I'm going to left click once to drop it in. And if you see ever so slightly, I do now have a 1/4 inch variance on the left. You can see that I have a small guideline right here, which confuses some designers. But this is simply a guide because we reshifted the entire module from a 1/4 inch clearance on the right to the left. To make things less confusing, the best thing to do is to right-click on the module, click on your attributes, right-click on the illustration, go to my variables, and go back to my clearance on the left. I'm going to subtract that clearance now. Click on Apply and OK. And you can see now the guide is no longer there, and I have still obtained my 1/4 inch variance on the left. I'll do the exact same thing on the right side. Left click on Tall Module Single, drag it into place. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration and we'll do exactly the same thing. Keep the height at 83 15/16. Clearance on the left is 0. Clearance on the right. This time I'm going to make this a 1/4 inch clearance on the right side. Keep this at 14 inches. Deep. Panel on the left. This time I'm going to remove the panel on the left because I'm going to share it with this current panel here. Panel on the right is fully drilled. I do want a bottom shelf. I do want a top shelf. And I do want a toe kick. I'll click on OK. Same thing. I'm going to work from my left to right. Go to my farthest left. Left click once. Go to my farthest right and left click once. And you can see that I do have my 1/4 inch clearance on the right side. You will notice that there is no guide on the left-hand side because we worked left to right. To subtract the guide, it only works if you're working on the leftmost module, where you have to edit the actual attributes and subtract the clearance. Now that I've got my 1/4 inch clearance and I've got my modules in place, I can now work on putting parts into the module systems. I always want to do one part at a time and one step at a time. So step number 1, create your walls and adjust the walls. Step number 2, create your modules. Once all the modules are done in place, let's now create parts and fill it. Underneath my categories, underneath my modules, the next section is going to be parts. If I double click on parts, I now have 4 main categories. Under parts, I have my parts list, such as our cleats, toe kicks, valences, backs, inserts, doors, tops, and fillers. If I scroll up, I also have 3 subcategories of parts. I have panels, shelves, and drawers. If I double click on panels, I can now drag and drop individual panels as I see fit, or dividers. Under shelves, I have fixed shelves, adjustable shelves, slanted shelves for our shoes, and it comes with a fence. I have bridge shelves, glass shelves, corner shelves. Underneath our drawers, I have our dovetail drawer box. you can see from the information section here, I have a dovetail drawer box with an actual door front. Next is our melamine section, where I have a 5-piece melamine box with a drawer front as well, door front. Below that, I have a scooped dovetail drawer box. These are great for pantries and for people that want to save on a little bit of costs. I have jewelry trays, belt trays, and ironing boards. Underneath my part systems, I'm going to go from left to right. I'm going to make this one a double hang, shelves here, and a single hang on the right-hand side. So let's work from left to right. Cleats. I can type in my cleats, and I can anchor this right at the bottom of the topmost fixed shelf. This will support the module and anchor it to the back wall. And I will throw a whole bunch of cleats on every single module. This will serve as my anchor point. Next, I can go underneath shelves, and I can grab a shelf fixed, drag it into place. I see my magnet, let go of my magnet, and drop it like so. I'd like to center this perfectly. The best way to do that is to grab your line-to-line annotations and figure out where this is going to be centered. I'll click on my Annotations tab, click on my line-to-line, I'll left-click once. Now my cursor is now a plus button. I'm going to zoom in and go to the very bottom of the top fixed shelf. I'll left-click once, and I'll go to my top of this fixed shelf. Left-click once, and it gives me 2 points. I'll do the same thing below. Annotations, line to line, and I have 32 inches. I'm going to left-click on my shelf fixed, drag it up, and try to even it out as best as I can. Because we're on the 32mm European system, it will never be perfect, but it'll be very, very close. This is as close as we can get it, or I can make the very top 38 and the bottom 39. And that's kind of what I'll do. I can right-click on the actual line-to-line and delete it. This is my center point here. I'll take another center point for this portion here. I'm going to have open shelves here. And below this, I have shelf adjustable. I'm going to drop this in. I see my magnet, let go of my magnet, and drop in my adjustable shelf. Anything that is yellow is an adjustable shelf, and anything in blue is our fixed shelf. Again, I can go to my annotations, line to line, and try to center this as best as I can. To make things a bit easier, you can make a shortcut for this line-to-line annotations, and that will be spoken about in Module 2. I'm going to left-click these adjustable shelves and try to even this out as best as I can, and that's it. That looks pretty good. And the bottom, I will even this out. And they're perfectly lined up. I'll leave these line-to-line annotations. This is great for the retail user to actually indicate what the actual heights are going to be. On the right-hand side, I'm going to make a long hang. I'm going to grab a shelf fixed again, drag it into place, and I'll drop it right about here. So I'll now make a double hang on the left and a single hang on the right. I'm going to click on my categories. Underneath my categories and underneath my parts, we're going to go to accessories. I'm going to double click on accessories. In my accessories, I have ironing boards, lights, office, garages, pullouts, rods, tilt-outs, and wire baskets. Majority of these items come from Hayfla USA and Hayfla Canada. I'm going to double click on my rods, and I have an option of closet rod and a wardrobe lift. I want a closet rod. I'm going to left click on this closet rod, drag it into place. I see my magnet. I'm going to let go of my mouse, and I'm going to drop it down at the very top. I go right to the top fixed shelf and down one hole. Same thing on the very bottom, drag it into place. I see my magnet, let go of my mouse, go right up to the fixed shelf and drop it one hole, left click once, and now I have a double hang. Again, I can go to my line-to-line annotations. To get the most accurate representation of the area space, I'll go to the very top of the closet rod to the very bottom. This gives you the true distance from the top of the hanger to the bottom. And the same thing down below, line to line. And now I have 37 3/8 for the top and 38 5/8 as my variance. Majority of the actual hangs are going to be roughly between 36 and 42 inches, depending on how long, and how tall people are. Always indicate from the actual client what dimensions they need. Some might be 6'5" or 6'7". You have very tall people, and they're going to need a taller module and more space. But majority and the average user is going to be between 36 and 42, 41 inches. Next is my long hang. I need to make roughly around a 60-inch long hang, and that is our average. I'll grab my closet rod, drop it into place, go down one hole and drop it in, go to my line to line, the very top of the rod to the very bottom, and I have 56 1/4. And let's just readjust and move everything up. And now I have 60 inches and a 16th. I'll drop this down one and grab my line to line annotations like so. Let's quickly take a look at our perspective view. And you can see that we've built our closet with a 1/4 inch variance. By default, every time you drag something from our local browser into the elevation view, it is defaulted to a white TFL. Also by default, all the closet rods are oval chrome rods. Once you're done your design, this is where we then start recreating, changing profiles, changing colors, adding notes, and adding our line-to-line annotations as our step number 4. Once I'm all done, I'm going to clean this up. My first step is I want to clean this up and add my notes. So I'm going to just go ahead and right-click on my line-to-line annotations and hide everything. Again, I'm right-clicking on the line first, not left-clicking. Right-click, auto-dim the entirety, and hide. I like to make my own line-to-line annotations myself and not use 2020's line-to-line annotations. And the same thing for my top view. I'm going to right-click, auto-dim, and hide. Right-click, auto-dim, hide. Perfect. Now I'm going to add my own line-to-line annotations. Line-to-line. And I really want to let them know that this is 24 inches deep. That's how big the wall is, how deep it is. And now I usually like to say, this is how deep my module is going to be, 14 inches. And this is kind of all I want on my top view. And it's up to you as the designer, however many annotations you would like to apply. Here I've got all my inside measurements, but now I need to go with my heights and my widths. So with my widths, I'm going to click on my line to line, and I'll zoom in, and I want to indicate that I have a 1/4 inch clearance here. Same thing, I want to have my inside measurements. Do the middle module, and I'll do now the right module. And again, for my variance on the left or right side, my apologies. Now that I have my annotations, I can now choose where I'd like to display these. And a simple drag and drop. Left click and move it up. Left click, and I'm going to move this down to indicate that I have a 1/4 inch variance on the left. Next is my install height, which is probably one of the most important measures for the installer. I need to grab my height. Line to line, go to the very top of the tallest module and all the way down. I can see right here that I now have 83 15/16. This line measurement has got the toe kick the height and the variance, but I really need this 83 and 15/16. Now that I'm done my annotations, my line-to-line annotations, I now need to make my notes. To make things a little bit easier, I like to add more notes than less. This will serve as your sign-off sheet from your customer, but as well as blueprint for your installer. I'm going to double-click on the Elevation 1 tab, and I can simply rename this tab. I'm going to rename this as Elevation 1. Click on OK. Click on Add Note, and I'll add a note indicating that this is Elevation 1. And on my top view here, do the same thing, that this is Elevation 1. It's a great reference point. 2020 does a great job when you click on your print view and click on your plan view. It does label on the bottom right side which tabs referring to which item. However, I like to add a little bit more clarification. Next is I'm going to click on my Add Note, and I'm going to make a template indicating what items I have produced in there. I have a pre-saved template that I have got set in place, and I'll click on Template, and I've already got a predetermined template in place. The project ID, will label this as Susan's Guest Closet. The material, it's going to be 3/4 inches thick. Everything's all standard, 3/4 inches. And TFL, the color is in white. The install height is going to be 83 and 15/16. Accessories, no accessories in place, no drawer boxes, no drawer fronts, no handles, hanging rods, oval chrome rods. Click on OK. And now I have my template ready to go. Once that's all done, I can simply click on Home, click on Design Info, and there are 2 items that we need from you as the designer. First, we need to label this for the company. We'll say that this is going to be for Bob's Closets, Bob's Closet Company. I'll click on underneath Dealer. I will now click on, my apologies. We want to click on the Design tab. Underneath the Designer, this is where I want to put in my name. So I'm the designer for this, so I'm going to type in my name. And underneath Designer, I want to hit on Project ID. This is the most important for the files so that we can label this at the manufacturing stage. I'm going to label this as Susan's Guest Closet. Once I do this, when we print stickers, we can label every single one of those pieces right on that design that says Susan's Guest Closet. If you have several designs and several different design files, we can label every single one of those parts according to that room. If you give us one kit file with 7 closets in that one design file, your installer won't like you so much because you're going to label everything as one item. So again, that does help. One design file per area, and place in your project ID so we can label it at the manufacturing level. I'll click on OK. Next, I'm going to save this design. Save as, and let's just save this as Susan's Guest Closet. Click on Save. So I've saved the design. I've wrote down all my line-to-line annotations. I've got all my notes. I've labeled the actual kit file underneath Design Info. And I've saved the design. Next is I want to create a plan view. I'm going to click on File, and I'm going to pretend I'm going to print this file. I'm going to click on Print. Print again. Another window pops up. The printer says Microsoft Print to PDF. This is what I want because I want to send this and make this into a PDF. After that, in the very bottom underneath Range, I have all access views, current work area, and selection. I like to create all access views. That's the radio button that I like to click. This will give me all the tabs necessary for that design file. If I had several walls, it would give me a printout of all the walls. So all access views. I'll click on OK. Another window pops up. I'm going to make this as Susan's guest closet. And I'm going to say that this is my plan view. Click on save. And I can see that it is right here. Susan's guest closet. And we have everything fitting to page. This will serve as your sign-off sheet for your end user, as well as a blueprint for your installer. And then I can click on my presentation tab, go to my perspective view, doctor this up. You can actually go ahead to our camera and launch a high quality rendering, or if you have 2020 live, it's got its own setting, or you can click on file and save as and save this high resolution image. Once you've captured all your renderings, you're now ready to go to send this to your client. I'll save this design. I'm going to do the exact same design. However, I'm going to make them all wall modules. I'll open up a brand new page. I'll keeping to the exact same local browser. I'm going to click on my Perfect Fit Canada USA catalog. Same thing, I'll click on our walls, 24 inches deep, 80 inches wide, 24 inches deep. Hit the escape button. I've got my 3 walls with 3 different placement areas. I'm going to right click on the wall, go to my properties, wall number 1, click on your type, unclick the inside placement area, click on apply, go to wall number 3, unclick that placement zone, apply, click on OK. And now I have my only one placement area for wall number 2. Double click on that wall, I have my elevation. Under categories, go to my modules, and now we're going to work on our wall modules. Same exact thing. Click on my wall module. That's a regular wall module. I have my magnet, go to my farthest left, unclick my mouse, right click on the illustration. Default height is at 47 3/8. I'm going to make this as open shelving and as tall as I can and give it a little bit of clearance so I'm not touching the floor. I'm going to go all the way down and let's pick 72 5/8. 72 5/8, which is great. Next is clearance on the left is 0, clearance on the right is 0, 1 opening. I do want it 14 inches deep. Opening width is going to be 24 inches wide. Panel left is fully drilled. Panel on the right is fully drilled. Shelf bottom. Default is bottom with a rod. This is great for double hangs and so forth. But if I click on this drop down button, I have no bottom shelf. Or I can click on a bottom shelf. I do want a bottom shelf. I'm going to mimic the exact same design, but it's going to be a wall module. And I do want a top shelf. I'll click on OK. Drop it in like so. I'm going to right click on the item. Click on center. I have now my plus button. Go to my top view. I see my placement area. Double click that area and it centers it for me. You will see on our wall module that we already have a hanging rail into place. So this is your anchor point. You do not need a cleat for these wall modules because it already has one into place. This is your anchor point, how to actually put it on against the wall. You will also notice that I now have a 11 5/16 clearance and it is off the ground. This is great for people that want to keep their baseboards. They don't want you touching it, or they can easily simply put a laundry basket or shoes underneath, and that'll definitely save them costs. A basic formula that we at Perfect Fit apply is that more material is more money. Less material is less money. I'm going to make a double hang on the left-hand side and do exactly the same thing. And this time, I'm going to click on wall module single as opposed to tall module single. Same thing, I'm just going to fill in the gap. I'm going to left click my wall module single. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration. I'm going to keep it at my default 47 3/8 height. We at Perfect have identified that that is a fantastic default height for a double hang. Clearance on the left, I'm going to make this a 1/4 inch clearance on the left-hand side. Clearance on the right is 0. 14 inches deep. Panel left is going to be fully drilled. Panel on the right, I'm going to remove that panel. And I do want a bottom with a rod, and I'm going to make a double hang. If you do not like this height and you want to readjust the actual size of the top hang and the bottom hang, you can also just say no bottom shelf, and you can actually go to parts and accessories and add your fixed shelf and add your accessories in there afterwards. So we do provide that option. For this purpose, I'm going to make a bottom with a rod just to help me as a designer and save me a little bit of time. I'll click on OK. Again, going to my farthest left, left click once, going to my farthest right, left click once. And you can see we now have our guideline and we have our 1/4 inch clearance. I'm going to right click on the module again, go into my attributes and subtract that guideline, go into my clearance on the left and hit 0. Click on OK. And you will see that the guide is no longer gone and I still have my 1/4 inch variance on the left. Same thing over here. Wall module single, drag it into place. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, unclick my mouse, right click on the illustration. This time I don't need 47 3/8. I can make this a little bit less in terms of heights just to save the client a little bit of money. Let's try 28 1/2 for now. Clearance on the left is 0. Clearance on the right is going to be a 1/4 inch. Panel on the left, I'm going to remove that panel. And I do not want a bottom shelf. I don't know what the height is going to be. I'm going to add that in manually. I'll click on OK. Go to my farthest left, left click once, farthest right, left click once. You will see my 1/4 inch variance on the right-hand side. Now we're going to go ahead and populate underneath our parts as our step number 3. Go into my categories, and underneath our parts, we'll work from left to right. For my parts, I've already got everything I need on the left-hand module. I just need accessories. On the middle module, I need a fixed shelf in the middle, and I need adjustable shelves. So I'll click on my shelves, shelf fixed, drop it in, and I'm going to center this like so. Go into my annotations, line to line, the bottom of the very top fixed shelf, and the top of the middle shelf. Same thing over here. And that looks pretty centered to me. Left click, right click, delete, and I'm going to just delete these annotations. Now I can go ahead and start populating my adjustable shelves. And again, go into my annotations, line to line. And 2 clicks. Line to lines are always going to be 2 clicks. You can always click on your escape button on your keyboard if you make a mistake, or click on the undo button. I'll start resizing. And everything looks great and centered to me. Next is shelf fixed. Drop it in here like so. And I'm just going to guess and approximate there for now. Working from left to right, now that all my parts are into place, I now hit my accessories, click on my categories, click on my accessories, my rods, closet rod, and I'm going to drop it in 1 hole down from the very top fixed shelf. 1 hole down and drop it in. I can click on now my line to line, go to the very top of the rod, the very bottom, and the same thing again, like so. Closet rod, drop it in. This is going to be for my long hang. And again, annotations line to line, very top of the rod to the very bottom. And I have 60 and 13/16. That's exactly what I want. Now I can just drop this in like so. And annotations for my middle cubby here. On their last design, I put in cleats, but we have wall hanging systems already into place by default. There is one other optional item that you can do for extra durability. If I click on my line-to-line annotations here, I know the outside of this module is 25 1/2. As an option, if you wanted extra stability, you can add a cleat here. if I go into my categories, parts, and I go cleat connect to fixed shelf, if I throw it into place here, by default, it will put it underneath the fixed shelf. But I want extra durability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Cleat Standalone instead, drop it in, left click once, and just try to center that as much as I can. I'm going to right click on the cleats, click on my attributes, and I want this to be 25.5. Click on my variables. Width is going to be 25.5. Click on apply, click on OK. And now I can right click on the module, go up and down and drop it to wherever I'd like. It's centered, which is great. And now I've got an anchor point underneath the panels and underneath the fixed shelves for extra stability. We always want to assume the end user will be putting gold bricks or bowling balls or something very, very heavy. So always assume that this is just extra durability in case you'd like. Anything that says standalone on any of the parts, it is a very, very basic product, and we have to manipulate the product to what we want. So I've manipulated this cleat standalone to the exact width that I would like. But if I right click on this actual cleat and go to features and options, I know that the edge banding is only on the bottom. So there is a raw product on the left, right, and the top. I want it edge banded on the left and the right as well as the bottom. I do not need edge banding on the top. So therefore, I'm going to click on edge banding on the left and the right. Edge banding on the left, right, and bottom. Click on OK. And now I have edge banding like so. I can easily go to my presentation, go to my perspective view, zoom in to showcase that. And you can see that it is now edge banded. There is no raw material on the sides nor bottom. So all my parts are into place. And just like last time, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I'll right click on all these items. Right click, auto dim, hide. Right click, auto dim, hide. Again, I'm right clicking and auto dimming the very last largest greatest number to expedite it a little bit faster instead of individually clicking on every single item. Go to my top view, click on my annotations, line to line, depth 14 inches, and the depth for my walls, like so. Right click, auto dim, hide, right click, auto dim, hide. And there's just a few more. Perfect. Now I'm going to click on my line-to-line annotations. I need, oh, sorry, my apologies. There's one more here that I have to delete, auto dim and hide. All right, so I can go to my line-to-line annotations, and I need to let the installer know what this height is. So I'm going to go to the very top, the very bottom. Now I have my heights for this particular module, but I need a height for this particular module as well, line to line. That's my height there. And I need the height for the middle module. There's the height. So now I have all my heights into place. Now let's go ahead and from my left to right. Line to line, I'm going to zoom in. I need my 1/4 inch clearance. Line to line, I need my left module. Then I need my middle module, my right module, and my variance. Again, up to the designer's choice where you want to leave these notes. Perfect. So I've got all my widths, all my heights, and same thing on my top view. Next, I'm going to double click on my elevation, relabel the tab, elevation 1. Same thing here, add note. I want elevation 1 right here. and on my top view. Again, more notes is better than less. Let's go ahead and make my template with my add notes, drop it at the very bottom. I'll open up my old template that I have saved. And this will be, well, let's call this as Cindy's region. 3/4 inch material. Everything is in white. Install height is going to be 83 15/16. No door boxes, no accessories, and oval chrome rods. Click on OK. And that's one thing that I did forget what the install height is. Add my line to line, the very top to the very bottom. And now I can readjust the line to line annotations. And there is my install height, 83 15/16. Click on my presentation, perspective view. Let's do a final look. Add your lighting and whatever you'd like to do. So we have our wall module systems where this is going to be your main anchor point, and we have a secondary anchor point at the very bottom. This cleats is underneath the panel and the thick shelf for extra stability. Again, this is very optional. Now let's take a look. And the same thing, I would save the file. And now we're going to compare this from our wall module to our tall module. Save as, and we'll save this as Cindy's region. So let's compare the two. I'll click on my quick price for my wall module, and we have $252.08 as my list price. This is my cost. My list price is my cost, $252.08. And if I minimize this and go to my tall modules, click on the quick price here, and I have a cost of $367.59. So we have difference of just under $100 between a wall module and a tall module. There are many different configurations that you can do as a designer to save cost or add cost. By far, tall modules are the easiest by far for any installer. To make it level, they can add shims, but all the weight is situated on the bottom. So this is ideally the easiest type of closet to produce and to install. And then we also have our wall module systems, which is a little bit more advanced for the beginner user because you have to put in these fasteners into place, but you can see there are less material. So you're going to be spending more money on hardware for a wall module, but less money on the wooden core product. And there's going to be more time involved for your installer. So at the end of the day, they're both roughly going to cost roughly the same amount because your installer is going to take a little bit more extra time to actually put a wall module into place, but the actual wood cost is lower versus a tall module, which is easier to install, but more wooden core material. Here is another option that you can do to save money and to help your client out a little bit better. On the left and right module for our tall modules, I don't really need these toe kicks. They're there for aesthetics because this is connected to an adjacent wall and it's a reach-in closet. As an installer, I have different points where I can actually place more stability to this. As an installer, I can take this left panel and screw this left panel right into a wooden stud right in the corner as one stability, or use these cleats. So I can subtract these actual bottom shelves and toe kicks. I'm going to left click here on this actual module, right click, go to my attributes, and I'm going to click on my variables tab. At the very bottom of the variables tab, I'm going to subtract the bottom shelf. And now I'm going to subtract the toe kick. I'll click on OK. And you can see now that I have now subtracted the toe kick. Go to my line-to-line annotations, the very top, the very bottom. And now I can simply readjust to center this. All right, so I've gone down 2 holes, and now take a look. I now have a greater variance for my double hang from 37 and 38 to now 39 and 40. So I've gained a couple inches because I've subtracted the toe kick, and this is fine as well. I can do the exact same thing on the right side. Go to my attributes, go to my variables, subtract the bottom shelf, subtract the toe kick, click on OK, and the same thing again. I'm going to go to my line to line, the very top of the rod to the very bottom. This is now 64 and 5/8. Let's bring this down. Go up one. And it's at 60 inches, which is exactly what I want. And I'll bring this fixed shelf down. So again, I have fixed points for stability. Traditionally, I like to make a minimum of 2 fixed points for wall modules and tall modules as my very, very minimum. More fixed shelves are better than less because obviously it adds stability. The boards are very long already, so you want to make sure that you have fixed shelves in the middle wherever you can. If I now click on my presentation, click on my quick price, my tall modules are from $367.59 now to $314.41. So now I have this tall module as $314.41 and my wall module as $252.08. So that was a cost savings of just under $50 to subtract the toe kicks and the bottom shelves. So again, there's many different areas where you can save costs wherever you can. Thank you very much for joining us today. It looks like there is no Q&A afterwards here. This will be loaded up right onto the dealer portal. And as always, if you want to view this at any time, you can go into our dealer portal. In our dealer portal, you can click on our training section and underneath our software. In our software, we have a link called training videos. Inside our training videos, we have several different videos on basic setup. If I scroll down, we also now have designing. From designing onwards, we have videos and tutorials uploaded onto YouTube and viewed here into our portal of how to design everything from scratch. Everything that I have spoken about today is on here and more advanced options as well. So feel free at any time, 24 hours a day, you can click on these actual videos at any time. In addition, we are going to continue with our webinars every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If I click on my training tab and underneath software, I have PFC 2020 Closet webinars. You can see here that every Tuesdays, I am holding a session for 1 hour long, and every Thursdays, Module 2 training for more advanced necessary items, 1 hour long. So every Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard and 10 o'clock Pacific. This is our reoccurring meeting link with our password of 112233. Feel free to drop in. All guests will be muted as always. Please ask your questions on the chat function. All these videos are going to be recorded and uploaded into our website underneath 2020 Past Webinars by 2020 Designs and underneath Perfect Fit Closets 2020 Past Webinars. So we have one 2020 for their platform and one for our specific closet catalog. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week and hope to see you on the next Tuesday or Thursday meeting.